Hi there, my name is Kendrick, and welcome to another ENFP Mail interview. Today, I have an awesome panel of individuals that will be talking about their parts. So let's start with Sheila first. Sheila, can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Sheila, and I've been in the OPS community for like 2 years. I was typed as I just can hold on. I'm sorry. There's a thing. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll say okay. Take two. My name is Sheila, and I've been in the OPS community for a couple of years, and I'm double feminine. FISE, consume, play, sleep, last, and I don't know. Why did you put me first?
Because you were last time.
Okay, yeah, that's good. All right.
All right, and so you're an ISFP, just for everyone to know. So mention your type 2 if you can, because I don't think everyone watches OPS. Let's go with Julien next. Go for it, man.
Hi, I'm Julien. I'm from Canada originally, living in New Zealand on a working holiday, kind of just stuck here during the whole COVID pandemic era. In MBTI, I would be kind of like an INFP, ISFP, but if we're talking about objective personality, which we're all sort of part of that group, I am a jumper, FI, NI, sleep, consume, blast, play last, ISFP. And I've been in the community for about 3 years, and then maybe a year or two before that into MBTI, kind of looking into that. And I thought that this subject was just a lot more precise with definitions that I thought was lacking in MBTI, but it doesn't matter. You know, if something works, then it works. And I mean, I'm happy to get to know all these people who share the same functions. So yeah, looking forward.
Awesome, dude. Yeah, you are the jumper ISFP, which is not very common, I think. So that's cool that we have you here to kind of talk about yourself. Next, we have Vivian. Vivian, go for it.
Hi, my name is Vivian. I am an INTJ in OPS. I am double feminine, NITE, blast, sleep, play, consume, last. And I've been in the OP community since last year, and I got typed, I think it was August. I don't remember clearly, but it's been a while.
All right, thanks, Vivian. Gray, you're up next.
Hey everybody, I'm Gray. I'm an ENTJ, and I've been in the community for about a year. I got typed earlier this year by the OPS founders as I'm hitting my microphone. I'm in OPS terms, I'm a double masculine, so it's masculine sensory, masculine DE, TE, SE, play blast, sleep, consume last. And my fun fact is, I'm consume last because I'm just realizing now I forgot to eat dinner before this. So.
Nice, that's funny. So you are a jumper ENTJ, not the standard, but
yep.
But you're double activated blast, so it kind of it'll make sense later on when we talk about it. Last but not least, Abby, go for it.
Hey everyone, I'm Abby. I'm the ESFP jumper, so FM, SETE, play, consume, sleep, blast.
All right, thanks, Abby. Blast right there. All right, guys. So the first topic we're going to talk about today is NF sleep. All right. So this is a big one because this is going to be all your identities, which is NF sleep. I don't think none of you have it last. So all of you can use it at some degree, which is going to be pretty awesome. The first question I have for you guys. So there's going to be 4 parts of NF sleep that I want to cover. The first one is preserving energy. Okay, so how do you preserve your energy as opposed to expending your energy for the tribe? All right, who wants to answer this question first? Okay,
I can answer it if you don't mind.
Okay, so Julien, you have it first, so this is perfect. Go for it.
Yeah, I'm sleep first. I think a better question is, when am I not preserving energy for myself and expending it for the tribe? I mean, like, I think the thing is that my girlfriend was telling me the other day, like, that I sleep more than anybody she's ever met, like physically sleep in my bed. And that kind of surprised me. I'm like, I don't really sleep. I know people sleep more than me, but I guess like 9-10 hours a night is a lot for a lot of people. And I mean, I kind of move slowly. I try to do things so that I can physically exert less energy. But if it's with exercise, like I'm a big fan of fitness and things like that, then I'm happily exert myself to the limits until I can't move my muscles anymore. But if it's like more like mental energy or doing things in that regard, then I will try to just gear my day so that, for example, I like to be somewhat creative. I like to write, and in the morning time, that's when I do all my writing and I expend all my creative energy like that. And then it's very self above tribe. When I go to work, when I do my day job, I'm like expended from my mental energy, and I'm just kind of drifting through. And like I do the best I can. I work hard. I look after my responsibilities and do everything that I go above and beyond as much as I can. But really, I try to spend my energy early on because I know that it's going to run out as the day goes on, like that.
All right, awesome, dude. Um, let's go with Vivian next. Let's hear your preserving energy methods.
So I don't do the expending at the start of the day. It feels like for me, it goes back and forth between expending energy and then finding a break. So if I feel like I'm using a lot of energy, like today I was traveling and I was like, I need a break between traveling and doing this interview. So I would not have been able to do this interview if it had been too soon after I had traveled. So it's, for me, it's like do do rest all throughout the day. But then when I do expend energy, it's like in the evening, at night, and I'm just goofing off the whole time at night. So it looks like I'm crazy at night, but I'm all throughout the day, I'm just like not doing anything. So that's how I see my energy working.
That makes sense because you have played third, right? So I guess that's later on the day. That's when you start expending your energy. Uh, let's go with Gray next. Gray, you have
Yeah.
it third. Your sleep is third. Your sleep is also double feminine, right?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about like Viv talking about like the kind of rise in energy and how like leaving the sleep in the middle of the day. I kind of have the opposite where, I wake up usually before the alarm, which is easily like can be anywhere between like 6 and 6:30 in the morning, and I'm awake before the alarm pretty much every day. At this point, I'm not doing it on purpose. I wish I could stop. But that's happening. I'm up, I'm walking the dog, I'm getting started in the morning work. And then by 1 p.m., I'm taking a nap, and it's an hour nap. And maybe I'm not napping the whole time, but I'm in bed. I'm on my phone playing phone games, not doing anything that requires strenuous brain power. I'm just relaxing. And oftentimes that's when I'll take a shower in the middle of the day of like, this is my break time. Nobody gets to bother me. I'm alone. My phone is off. I turn everything off, and it's like I'm by myself in the middle of the day. And it's very, when I was working in a job and not working from home, it was really hard to, be cranked all the way up, drop in the middle of the day, and then spike again later at night. And dealing with that, especially with the double feminine play, but double feminine sleep is like that need for sleep is really present, but I feel like I'm not allowed. So it was really bad when I was working a job and I would, eat a bunch of sugar and I would drink a lot of caffeine to try and compensate for that crash I'd have in the middle of the day. Now that I'm from home, I can follow my natural rhythms and I'm so much more productive. So it's really interesting having that need to slow down in the middle of the day instead of like at the beginning or the end. So that's my experience.
That's cool, Gray, because you're the crackhead type, right? But then you can still hit the brakes, which is good. That means you're not gonna, run yourself to death, essentially. Abby, do you want to talk about your sleep? Your sleep is also third, I think, just like Gray. So yeah, go for it.
Yeah, it's really interesting hearing everyone's experience about that, especially when Julien was talking about like splitting it into physical energy and mental energy. I don't necessarily experience a big crash because I think I separate it like physical energy. I am not moving. I am a very proud couch potato. I never walk if I don't have to. I will take the elevator if I can, even if it's on floor. Yeah. So I'm preserving energy a lot in the physical realm, but I feel like my brain is always going. I'm always preparing something. I'm always thinking about like what I'm doing next and jumping from like course syllabus to like clients to, you know, just running all over the place. But when I do stop, it feels like a very extreme, like on off switch. It's like I'm going 100 miles an hour for most of the day. And then all of a sudden I'm like dead asleep in bed and nothing can wake me up. Or I'm playing video games for 2 weeks straight and not doing anything productive whatsoever. It's very, yeah, extreme in that way.
All right, thanks, Abby. Last one is Sheila. So Sheila, your sleep is it double masculine?
It's double masculine.
Okay, how do you experience double masculine sleep? I think you have a third, but it's double masculine, so it's gonna be a little bit different from the rest of these guys.
Yeah, a lot like Julien, I need a good 8 to 10 hours of sleep a day. I'm not a napper. If I get that, if I, you know, only get maybe like a 6-hour night sleep, then I have to nap the next day. I know, like, it's like my body just needs, you know, at least 8 to 10. And I'm very slow at waking up in the morning. It's like, you know, wake up, lay in bed for like a half hour, kind of like wake the wake, and then, you know, mosey out of bed, get the coffee. So I like my mornings are super slow. And then by noon, 1 o'clock, that's kind of like like I'm ready to go for the day. And I can go physically. I really enjoy physical labor, physical moving. It's like I'm super happy when I'm doing that, but I don't need a break with that. My breaks tend to be more mental breaks and emotional breaks. Like if I've been around people a lot for a couple hours, that's when I'm like, oh, I need to veg, I need to recoup, and like everybody leave me alone. So I noticed my energy depleted a lot with the mental people game, but I could, you know, be in a garden and, you know, doing something nonstop for hours without even having to go to the bathroom or remembering to eat. So when I get caught up in that just goes crazy. But sleep wise, yeah, I need to just chill and everybody leave me alone. And then like once I've decompressed, then I'm like, okay, I can come back out to the people and be like, hey, let's play some more.
All right, thanks, Sheila. So I think this is the perfect transition actually to the second part of sleep that I want to discuss, which is setting boundaries with people. Since you already talked about, you know, recovering your energy from people. So part of sleep in general is setting boundaries with other people. All of you have it, you know, first or third. So no one here has it last. It means, but it doesn't mean you don't have any problem setting boundaries with people. So let's talk about setting boundaries. Does anyone here have trouble setting boundaries with people? You know, Abby, do you want to talk about that first? Because you're an EPEJ, right? So let's hear that.
Crap. I shouldn't have nodded my head. That was an invitation to pick on me.
That's right.
Damn it. Yeah, so setting boundaries with people is really hard, especially if it requires me to acknowledge feelings that I don't want to acknowledge within myself. I think, you know, in general, setting boundaries has a lot to do with what you're feeling in the moment. So it's much easier to set boundaries with people if I'm angry. Like if I think you're being stupid and you're not doing things right, then like, yeah, sure, I'll tell you. That's simple, like stop doing that. But if I'm hurt, like personally hurt by something that you're doing, that becomes a lot more difficult because I don't recognize it soon enough, and I'll rationalize away those feelings and therefore like take away my own opportunity to set boundaries. And so when that happens, usually it does catch up to me, and then it becomes a very like big door slam of like, I'm never going to talk to you again because screw you, you know, kind of thing. So yeah, that's sorry, I finished my sentence without realizing I finished my sentence.
Well, it's all good. I think it's interesting for you because you have masculine TE, right? So you have like a shield, but like once people are inside that FI, it's a little bit harder for you, I guess, to set boundaries because they're already in. I'll transition over to Gray because I think me and Gray during our interview before we talked about this before. So she's double masculine, and so like she has like a permanent super shield, right? But there are people inside, and the ones inside she can't, she can't set boundaries. It's gonna be hard.
Yeah, it's sort of like that. It's a lot more like I don't, if for example, if someone just comes right out and says like, I think you're an idiot and a terrible person, I'm like, okay, I'll fight you. Like, right. If you want to start with a fight, we'll fight and I'll win. Right. But it's very different if someone kind of shows up and is like, hi, I really like you. I'm like, oh, someone likes me. Oh my God. Okay. I like get vulnerable. And then it's like, okay, now I'm fighting. I'm like, I don't think you understand how this works. If I fight you, I'm fighting you. Let's not do this. Like, it's very all or nothing. And that's where it gets really hard, is like, I'll get very corrective. I'm kind of like what Abby said of like, I will door slam people. I'll just leave. I don't care. I'm willing to be aggressive about my interactions with the tribe. And that means it's like, I really don't want to, it feels like, please don't make like, and this is not true. It's like, please don't make me do this. Don't make me be masculine to eat with you. And I've had that happen before with people where it's like, I got the comment like, you used to be so different. It's like, yeah, because now I'm being myself and I'm finally defending myself. And that would be like after, a long time of not doing that. And it's really hard. It's not easy at all. And there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of push pull between being an EJ means you're responsible for other people, or you think you're responsible for other people, even if it's not emotionally, right? The worst thing in the world to a masculine TE EJ is that you hurt someone else's FI, because that would be the worst thing they could do to you. So once I recognize someone has an inner world, the idea of attacking it is horrific unless I'm in that really deep, dark place. And once I'm there, it's just bad. So it's like this horrible push pull of I want to protect myself from the world. I want to get really defensive. But at the same time, if I hurt someone for realsies, I'm horrified by the fact that I did that. So it's very, very difficult to balance those things. So I do great. I would say like I have great boundaries with strangers and horrible boundaries with anyone closer than an acquaintance. So
I think it's interesting that you mentioned that it was all or nothing. Like I'll either love you or hate you, and I'm gonna fight you. And it's like, it sounds like it's a decider thing, perhaps.
It's not quite love or hate. It's not. I can care about someone and also say, and I want nothing to do with you right now. I'm willing to simply say, I'm putting you down. I don't feel a need to be wishy-washy. I don't feel a need to be like, oh, hey, no, we're still friends. I'm like, no, I don't like you right now. I care about you, but I don't like you right now. You're going some like, and I can have multiple emotions. It's not just love or hate, but I really struggle with, I'm angry with you and I'm in the same room with you and I'm not fighting you. Like I can't, it's like, I'm either angry and we're fighting, or I'm angry and I'm somewhere else and we're not interacting until I've come down off that ledge. And oftentimes where the biggest conflicts come from is when I want to escape the conflict and I can't. So it feels much more like having to manage those two different things of like, I don't know how to just go along to get along. I'm trying to learn, but I'm not very good at it yet.
Gotcha. I'm curious, Abby, you're a double decider. So is it a little bit different for you? Your experience with like the all or nothing thing? Because you can still see the perspective of the other person, right? Even if they hurt you. So as a double decider, how do you relate to what Gray said?
I think as a double decider, it makes it harder to do it quickly, I guess, because you kind of sometimes misunderstand or, correlate, what's the word I'm looking for? You mistake understanding for being a doormat, I guess, if that makes sense. So like you kind of understand where they're coming from, and therefore you're like, oh, well, they have logical reasons for doing it. I can give them a pass, and then you don't set those boundaries within yourself. So then the hurt gets a lot deeper. And so I think what I'm trying to say as I'm processing this is that the door slam still comes, and it comes with the same intensity. It just comes later down the timeline. Because there's that little like waftiness in the middle. Does that make sense?
Yeah. The final thing I kind of wanted to add before like we kind of wrap up our little corner of masculine TE is like being an EJ means I'm not allowed to see my perspective. So it is, I oftentimes am giving other people a pass. I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense. Oh, well, that makes sense. Oh, well, that makes sense. And it is finally where it's like, I've got all these stacked, but I'm hurt. And then I lose my mind. So it's kind of like, it is a very similar thing, but I get a little psychotic one way or another. I either give all of the defenses or none of them. So it seems like I'm either door slamming immediately or not at all. And then, yeah, so I think it is very similar, even if it's double decider or single decider. It's just masculine TE is feisty.
I wonder if it's more like if we remember it or how long it sticks with us. Because I find that like I door slam and then very quickly that's no longer on my radar.
Yeah, I don't forget. I think that would be I don't forget, and I'm processing it for a long time, but I'm still like, it's the same process. Just how long does it take me to get off the insanity train?
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
That's funny. I guess we're double decider. The people thing is not the biggest problem. So you're not gonna mull over it long term. You know, it kind of goes away as fast as it came. I want to pass it to Vivian next because Vivian is also DE. She's tribe above self. But Vivian is feminine PE and masculine FI. So how do you set boundaries, Vivian? Because you do have sleep above play, but you're very movable. You know, so that's kind of interesting. How what does your setting boundaries look like, and how does it feel?
So I related a lot to what Grace said about like strangers, screw you. Like, honestly, if it's a stranger and they're asking me to do something, no, screw you. But if it's someone that like she said, if it's somewhere past acquaintance, I will probably give it a pass a lot longer. But I have set more and more boundaries as time has gone on because I see what happens when I don't set those boundaries, and people will keep doing the same thing over and over to me, and I'm just like, I don't want to deal with this again, so I'm going to set the boundary now before they do it again. But sometimes it's hard for me to set a boundary when it's someone that's like, say if it's like a friend's parent or something, it's like there's the line of respect versus the line of they make me mad. So I usually just stay quiet, shut up, avoid them as much as possible, avoid interacting as much as possible until I can get away from it.
Vivian, you are double feminine, so what does your setting boundaries look like? Because like for Abby and Gray, they're slamming the door, right? It's like very aggressive. So, but you're double feminine, so it's like I don't feel like there's any door that's gonna be slammed from your end. So what does it look like, when you actually set boundaries, when you have to have that talk or
Most of my boundary setting has either happened after I've calmed down a little bit so that I can address it calmly, but when I do set boundaries, I usually prefer if I can do it over text, because when the people element comes where I can see them, it feels that much harder to present what I think versus because then I start saying, well, they have a reason for doing that. They're not trying to be hurtful, but it's easier for me to set a boundary if I can just do it over a message. I know like there's some like internet culture about don't do it over a text message, but it's the easiest way so I don't have to face the person.
That makes perfect sense for your specific type. Just text it. You also preserve energy doing that too. It's kind of two in one. The INTJ efficiency right there at work. Um, I want to pass this to Julian next. So for Julian, my question for you is a little bit different. So your sleep first. You have a permanent gate. Like when do you lift up that gate? That boundaries. Because you have a boundary like 24/7, essentially. Uh, so when do you lift up the gate of boundaries and let people in?
I'm kind of curious about maybe a further definition of boundary, because I hear different answers that sound almost like different interpretations, and I could give you an answer based on my interpretation, but I think I'd prefer to know first what your definition of boundaries is coming in.
Uh, well, I have sleep loss, so I have issues with boundaries. Like it was something that I had to tackle during the pandemic personally. A lot of my friends were making me feel terrible. And it's my fault because I never set boundaries. I never said that it's not okay for you to behave that certain way. I never corrected their bad behavior. So, when the pandemic happened, I cut off a bunch of my friends. And then some of them I regretted doing, and some of them I actually felt happy that I did do so. So,
Okay.
But
I get it.
Yeah, so go for it.
I understand now better where you're coming from. And I think what the permanent gate thing is that, yeah, I don't bond with people very closely. Like I'll have a lot of acquaintances, I'll get along with a lot of people. But for me to invest energy into someone, I think they kind of fundamentally have to be like very similar to my own type, which is, it's just a strange thing to say, but it's almost like there has to be this congruency, or like we have to like understand and be like, oh, I agree on that, you agree on that, we agree on that. If there's too much conflict in a relationship, then, or a friendship, I should say, then I'm like, I don't have the energy or the time to invest in that. And but like say for my partner, for example, she's very, very opposite type from myself, and I find it difficult, I think, to create boundaries. But thankfully she is kind of extroverted enough to say like, okay, something's not right here, when she sees that I have my guard up, or I'm sort of just like closed off, and she's like, something's wrong here, we need to talk about it. And then that's when I know, yes, okay, I can set this boundary now and communicate my feelings about a situation. For the most part though, like it's just, things are so they just are so meaningless that it's hard to really invest a lot of care into them. Like I might, for example, if an acquaintance says or does something that hurts me or troubles me, I might vent about it for a little bit to a few people, but then I try to take the double deciding position. Like I pretend to be a double decider for a second, and I go like, oh yeah, but they're great. Even if I don't feel it in the moment, I'm like, oh, they're great though. I mean, like they're a piece of shit, but they're great also at the same time. And I try to understand where people are coming from. Like they might be stressed out, right? I'm like, okay, they're obviously very stressed. I'm not stressed. I don't know why they're stressed, but they're stressed, and that's why they're acting this way. And then if you get to know someone better, you can see like, oh, there's a lot of crap going on in this person's life right now. Like I get it that they might be acting this way, and it doesn't make it nice, but it doesn't mean that I have to take it personally. Like I don't have to take what they said or what they did personally in that sense. But for the it's funny because I almost have an opposite stance to a lot of the especially Gray and Abby, when they're talking about how like it's very easy for them on the front end to set up boundaries with like acquaintances and to fight people over logic. For me, I'm not good at that. I don't really understand spectrum of logic, and I get caught up with bad ideas quickly. Like when someone like throws out a bad idea, I'm like, oh, let's do it. And then I don't see it for a long time. Like, this is a really bad idea. Like this didn't make any sense. And I probably won't even say anything about that. And I'll just let it go. I'll be like, okay, never mind. That idea didn't really work out very well. I'm not aggressive about people. Even if people are aggressive towards me, I'm not going to respond aggressively, because it probably has to do with fear, or just like an aversion to conflict. And so I'll just kind of like take it for a second and be like, all right, try to make humor of it, try to make a joke out of it if I can. And if there's no joke to be made, then yeah, I'll go through that other process of like first venting about it, and then trying to see where they're coming from. Like what's their stance on this? Who are they as people to make them act like this? And I think objective personality helps as well. Like if I see somebody and I can tell that they have a masculine DE element, then I could say, it makes sense. Like they have the masculine DE, they're going to express themselves in that way. Probably within themselves, they feel differently than how they act when they don't actually think like, oh, I'm not being like super aggressive right here. And then what about me? Like maybe I'm seeing something that's super aggressive that's not actually that aggressive. And so I could be the one who's interpreting things wrong. And I mean, at the end of the day, as long as I can still feel confident about myself and happy and positive about my own self-image, then I don't need to be affected by any other person's image. And even if in a moment I can feel like, oh, I suck here right now, as long as I can transform that, say, well, that might be who I am right now, but I can improve from there in this aspect. And I know my own self-worth, so I don't need to take this as a personal insult. Then it doesn't really affect me too strongly. And so I mean, I'm kind of getting away from the point here, I think. But when it comes to setting boundaries, like, yeah, the gate is up. Not many people get in close enough for me to even care that I need to make boundaries with them. And even when they're close to me, it's a bit of a struggle to say like, wait, like this is really important to me. Like I would prefer if you don't do this, but I can do it. And I do it more so the closer somebody is to me. Like if I really trust someone and I know that they trust me, then I feel comfortable saying like, okay, this is important to me. And I would really prefer if you didn't talk to me this way or do these kind of things or allow me to do things like this. And this is how I see things going if we continue on this line, you know? So that's about it.
I feel like you have multiple gates, Julian. You have like a gate outside your house, and then you have the front door, and then you have like your bedroom. The bedroom's a personal place, and there's nobody in your bedroom from like your description. It's like empty, you know. It's just you, you know. There might be someone in your house, which is your girlfriend, but inside the bedroom, there's nobody, you know. So it's interesting how you were explaining that.
If I had a cat, my cat would be in the bedroom. That's all I'm saying. I don't have a cat. I had a cat before.
All right. It's funny how for a lot of people the pet is more important than the human. um, let's go with that Sheila next. So Sheila, you're a very interesting case because you're an IP, but you have play above sleep. So like the people thing is gonna be a little bit scary, but because you have a high play, you want to connect with people. So but you still have sleep, so you still have to set boundaries. So what's going on here? It's like it's a weird jumble of things happening.
Yeah, you know, I think when I was younger, boundaries was harder for me because I wanted to be liked by the tribe so much. So I think I would like, you know, bend and let them steamroll me more when I was younger because it's just like looking for that connection all the time. But as I've gotten older, boundaries have never been an issue as an adult. I think because my FI is always leaking out, you know, what I like, what I find acceptable, what I don't like. So if people are listening to me, they're kind of getting the gist of who Sheila is, just if they're paying attention to me. I feel like I set those boundaries without coming out and saying them to them personally. It's more like I throw them out, and you know, if they pay attention, then they're like, oh, okay, she's the type of person that doesn't like this or that. And then people tread, I guess, lightly when they know those, you know, when you know how far you can get with somebody. And I can take a lot from people, but I don't let a lot of people in on the front end. I'm very closed door. Like on a superficial level, I'm like, hey, you know, you're my buddy, we're fun, you know, but it's like, I know that strict boundary and, you know, my invisible fence, I know where the line is, but other people, you know, don't. And if they start coming too close, they might get zapped a little bit by me, like going, oh, no, you know, so I don't have a problem voicing what I want from people or what I expect from people or want to give to about myself. But the times when I have let people steamroll me, I can take a lot until I get way backed into that corner. And then it's that, you know, aggressive little sweet Sheila can turn into like and will lash out, and I can door slam then. But once I do door slam, it's like it's shut because I've given somebody enough chances. And you know, it's not going to open. But like Gray, it can be years that I've processed. Like I could still think about friendships that have ended, and I'm like, okay, what was my role? What was their role? What did I do wrong? What could I improve? And so I will hash those things over for years. Not that I lose sleep, you know, but it's still like something will pop in my head, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I probably screwed that up, you know, doing that. And so I'm always trying to be a better friend and a better partner for people, because the people game can be hard, but on the superficial level, no, it's easy to just keep that like, woo, sunshine and rainbows, fun lightness.
I feel like for you, Sheila, because you're double feminine, like you can take a lot from the tribe, but once they cross the line, when you shut off the door, you said that you know the door's not gonna open, so it's like it's locked, double lock, triple lock, you know, like well, like with Abby and Gray, they might open it again, let them back in, you know. If no, not for Gray. What about you, Abby? No. Yes for Vivian. No. It's also
Yeah.
yeah. Go for it.
I don't know. It's just for me, it's like I don't forget. I think maybe it's like I generally, it's like I might open the door back in, but like you know, you use the house analogy, right? It's like if I let you into my basement and you like broke one of my rules, you might be let back in my house again, but you're never getting in the basement. You're never getting back in again. And that's a lot of I've really noticed that there's like a sense of like maybe this is just EJ talk of like no one really knows what's down there, because like there's very few people that have like I've actually have hurt and I've ever let back in that basement, and everyone else is like, no, you can be in the living room, you can be in the foyer, you can be in my yard, but you're not getting down to the private spaces. And very few people are allowed down there. And because I think, and maybe I'm just talking out of my ass right now, who knows, but like it feels for me, and you know, other people can say if it's like this for them, it's like there's a lot of people who wander around in my house and think that, oh well, I'm in her house, I must know her so well. And it's like, no, I'm sharing what I feel is appropriate to share, but none of you are ever allowed down here because I can't trust you down here. So I don't know. I don't feel like I would let people back in for realsies. I think there's a big difference between um like the house and the upstairs and the deep dark, you know?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Um, let's move on to the next part of the NF sleep. This one's very interesting. So NF is correlated with purpose, meaning, and unlike the other types that have it in different parts of their animals, you guys all share the fact that all your NF is sleep in a sleep part of the animal, and that means when you're finding purpose and meaning, you find it from within. It's not like it's not like me. I have a NF consume, right? So I find meaning and purpose from new experience. For you guys, you find it from within. So talk about finding meaning and purpose from within. I want to bring this to Julien first because he has NF first. So go for it, Julien. How do you what is your meaning in life? What is your purpose in life? And how did you find it from within? Pretty much.
Well, I'm glad you worded it like that, because I had never thought about it like that before, because everything that I've ever strove towards, every goal that I've had, everything that I've thought, like, if I do this, if I accomplish this, if I go for this, somehow it will lead to some kind of meaning or fulfillment at the end of the road. But in the reality of my experience, I found that every fulfilling, every meaningful thing, every meaningful mode that I've experienced life in has come from within, not dependent on anything from the outside. And so at this stage of my life, I'm just trying to be grateful for each day, and I'm just trying to find the peace and the happiness for what is, and trying to generate it from within. And so meditation has helped me tremendously, like especially the certain Neo Advaita meditation. It's kind of like based off of Advaita Vedanta, which comes from the Vedic scriptures of Hinduism, and it's like super FI, NI type of stuff. And it's all just about self-inquiry. Like you're looking into yourself, asking, who am I? Beyond all of the things that I can identify as that is a thing, that's a thing, that's I have a thought, I have a sensation, I have a feeling, whatever. Those are all things outside. But who am I who's experiencing those things? And so entering these deep states of detachment and meditation has brought me the most kind of like baseline level feeling of meaning and fulfillment. And then just on the day-to-day basis of doing gratitude journaling and creating a goal and accomplishing the goal, and doing these small little things that increases my self-confidence, and focusing on health and fitness, and feeling like, okay, I'm congruent with my inner world on the outer world. This has made me feel meaningful and fulfilled. And it doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter what kind of thing I could do, because in my NF sleep mind, it's like everything is going to turn to dust in the end of time. You know, like it doesn't matter what it is, it's all fleeting, it's all going to disappear eventually. So what can I do right now based on who I am and what I have that will make me feel like satisfied and fulfilled in this moment today, right now, and in the future as well? What can I build that will also contribute from today onward to tomorrow? And so right now it's just kind of, it's sort of vague. It's just accomplishing the random goals that I've decided to accomplish. It's living according to the standards and beliefs that I uphold closer and closer every day. It's about becoming more mature and comfortable with all of the things that life throws at me. And then it's also just trying to detach from my own identity and my own, well, it's funny because it's like both those things. It's about almost pursuing identity, but also detaching from identity at the same time is what is meaningful. And so it's like trying to just take things more easygoing and not get too caught up with what things should be like, or what I think life should be like. It's just accepting it for what it is, and being happy with myself in that situation.
Yeah, that's a weird paradox, eh? Because like you said, in the end, everyone turns to dust. So, like, should you still set goals then and achieve them? Because achievement doesn't mean anything. By the end of the day, you're gonna be gone, and it really meant nothing. A lot of food for thought there. I want to bring this to Vivian next. So Vivian is, it's interesting because you have it second. So you're DE, right? But you do have NF second, and it's double masculine. Talk about finding purpose from within and meaning from within.
I don't know so much that I started with it from within. I see how pieces of what I think, what I believe, have been taken from other sources. And I've slowly like built what I think is a good source versus what is I think is like a horrible source that I should stay away from forever. Um, and it's kind of filtering what I do, what I say, what I think through the filter of, is this, does this fit in with what I think, what I believe? If it doesn't, well, maybe I need to stop. If it does, then maybe I need to do more of that. Doesn't necessarily mean I do the things that I think I should do, but I do have some sense of, this is what I think I should do, this is what I think I shouldn't do. So bringing it back to purpose and meaning, I think I still search for purpose and meaning to some degree. Like I have an idea of what my purpose should be, but sometimes I lose the meaning portion. I don't know, maybe that's the, like, losing the FI part because I'm double DE. I don't know for sure, but that's, at this point, that's my concept of it.
I think it's interesting that you said that you still take pieces from the outside. So I guess from what I hear from you is you're actively building your purpose and meaning, and you're using material from the outside to kind of build something from within. So it's not like finding meaning from within, it's more like building from within. So it's a little bit maybe different in your case. um Gray, what about you? You're an EJ, so technically this should be like the hardest thing in the world, but you have a third, so it's not like it's invincible. Well, it kind of is. It's double feminine, so it's has a lot of contradiction happening here. So talk about finding purpose and meaning from within.
So I kind of feel like I have to like it's definitely from within, but it's really hard to kind of hold on to it. I have to do a lot of daily, like every morning, it feels more like I don't hold on to it unless I anchor it in almost like consume, which I know we're not talking about that, but is kind of what I use. Like every morning I'm watching videos and listening to certain things that it's not something new, so it's not really consumed, but still has to be sensory external. But it's stuff like something that's like really inspiring to me is like there's a scene in like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse where he kind of accepts that he's Spider-Man. He leaps off the building and it's this beautiful shot of him upside down. It's gorgeous. And I've talked about it a bunch of different times. And then there's like the song of the ancestors, Moana, is like, oh my God, the call isn't out there at all. It's inside me. It's like, it's always, that's what's actually going on, is like, it's never been that I was called externally. It's that it was always within me. The story was always within me. And those things like really grip me. So I'll watch stuff like that. I'll watch Jocko's TED Talk where he talks about, like what war was like, and that, he had to crush his fragile ego in order to be a good person. Like stuff like that inspires me because that's the kind of person I want to be. So I kind of use this external stimuli to remind, like, again, it's like, to pull from the Moana line, it's like the call isn't out there at all, it's inside me. I can like hear it sort of, it's not real, but like I can hear it. And so I try to create external stimuli that matches how I feel on the inside. And when those things match, then it's like, okay, now I can move with extreme focus and drive and purpose. And it's very deliberate. I'm much more comfortable. Something I've noticed the more I do that, like I've noticed I'm not sharing spontaneously and inappropriately as much because I know what I want to say. If it doesn't fit in with what I believe in, which is what I'm thinking about when I watch that kind of thing, then I'm not talking about it. I'm not sharing it. It's not coming out as much. And I'm still play savior. I'm still sharing. I'm still letting people into my house, but I know what the basement is now. I've kind of mapped out the basement. And the double feminine part I would say is I forget what I'm like. I forget what I believe in. When I have life circumstances that make it seem like I'm not allowed to have what I want, I can get very lost very easily. And that's why I'll get so inappropriate and I'll get extremely needy and I want that validation. But when I keep that bucket full and when I really explore myself, that's when I'm able to kind of move in the world better. I'm much more confident and I feel a lot better. So I have to do that every day. It's not like I remember, because I don't. And that's, I think, that the worst part about it is like, it's my house. It's my inspiration. It's all in here. And I don't know who that is. I forget who that is. I know who it is. I just forget. So I think that's the hard part about it being double feminine. But the great thing is that I'm not a good person in a lot of ways. Like I'm very flawed, just like everybody is. And the great thing about having a changeable sense of self is the dark parts of me can change as easily as the good parts of me. So there's a lot of strength there of when I do look at myself and I see something dark, which is something I'm not good at doing. But when I get there, I can really take it apart and rebuild without losing everything, because I have to rebuild every day. So it's like, oh, fine. Got to rebuild myself again. I had to do that yesterday. So I think there's a lot of misery and always rebuilding, but there's a lot of joy in always rebuilding, because I don't feel trapped in who I am. So that's a lot of all over the place, but just I would just say with double feminine NF demon, I'm always rebuilding my sense of purpose and meaning, and there's good and bad things about it, and I like being this way. I like being able to move towards NF. So I would say it's a pretty good place to be in.
Yeah, I heard Arnold Schwarzenegger, which has the same functions as you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about choosing your identity with that feminine FI. So that's super interesting. How you said that, yeah, you can rebuild it. So if you don't like that dark side of it, you can just rebuild it. I do have a follow-up question for you, Gray, because you're lead ST. So lead STs, they disrespect NF the most. So I'll ask Abby this next also, because you're both lead ST, right? So like NF is it's in La La Land, right? It's not like it's real, but not really real. It's made up in your head, So, and you're double masculine ST. So like, how do you take this like weird NF concept? And
well, that's really easy. Julian's right. Like, there's no meaning to be found in the ST. There's nothing there. Like, oh, I'm a bunch of atoms and I came from an explosion. I'm a haunted explosion. Okay, I can make fun of the NF, right? I'm a haunted explosion of atoms from the Big Bang. Whoop-de-doo. But if nothing matters in the ST, then I get to decide what matters. And that's like why I set goals, because I like nothing. If nothing matters, then I get to decide what matters. So who cares about the ST? Can I swear?
yeah, you can do
okay.
whatever you want.
Okay, who gives a flying fuck about the ST, to be quite frank? Like, it's everywhere. It gets in my way. It's not helpful. Like, I'm sorry. It's useful in that when my camera isn't working or my audio is not working, then my ST is useful. But most of the time, the ST is making me miserable. You know what makes me happy is when I follow what I really fucking care about, which I forget and leave in the closet somewhere and I don't pay attention to. So as much as I disrespect the NF because I don't pay attention to it every single second, but when I try to put in that work every day, God, I'm so much happier. So like, I don't know. I don't know. It feels like, yes, I do. Do I every 5 seconds savior disrespect the NF? Yes. Do I actually think there's do I love and I try to bring as much NF into my life as possible? Yes, because at the end of the day, what else is there besides what you want in life? What else is there besides the purpose that drives you forward and makes life worth living? Like, we're all rocks. We're all atoms. Nothing is going to matter at the end of the day in the ST. So it all comes down to the NF, whether it's a savior, whether it's demon, masculine, feminine, I don't give a fuck. I think NF is where all of the meaning lies, and that's what matters. So yeah, that's just my take. So you can ignore me.
No, I like it. I like it. It's good. I love it. It's awesome. Abby, you're up next because you share a lot with Gray. You're also ST first, right? How do you find meaning from within, purpose from within? Being ST first, what is your respect level for NF?
Can I just say ditto and move on to the next verse? I feel like that was such a good summation of like the STNF thing. So ditto to that. And in terms of like finding meaning and purpose in life, I think I don't think I found it with me. I think it found me, and then I just have to consciously make the decision to stand by it, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's going to bring me hate from the tribe, because masculine DE, I see people as scary. And yeah, I don't know. I think one of my students coined the way that I look at it as optimistic nihilism. So like currently what motivates me to keep going on this like NF journey is wanting to be like a really cool human in the eyes of our impending AI overlords that will take over in the next 50 years. I want to be like, you know how we have Jurassic Park and then like there's like the dinosaurs with wings and everybody's like, oh, that's a really cool one. I want to be that one. That's what I'm aiming for. Like that's what's keeping me going. Yeah.
I love your EP spin to it, like the AI overlords, like someone's gonna control us. Like I love it.
That's literally like the most powerful motivator for me right now. Like it's like so meaningful, and like doing the work that I do, I'm in a very NF profession, and there's a lot of motivation in that too. But when I'm completely emotionally spent, what keeps me going is the AI overlord. So thank you in advance. Yeah.
She's bowing to the AI overlord.
Just in case they watch this in the future, right?
So they know you're like submissive to them. You're no threat, and they're not gonna
treat me like Pokemon. I would like snacks, and
they're not gonna erase you.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless they're Skynet and they're gonna kill out all of us anyways, so they don't care.
I love EPs.
Well
I
done.
love them so much.
Because they're crazy. Vivian, do you relate to any of the stuff that Abby said? Because it's like very things, you might have your own thing, like, what is it? Controversy, or not controversy, conspiracies? Like,
I'm kind of the belief that conspiracies are all just conspiracies. I don't really. Every time I hear one, I'm just like, oh, another one of those. So I don't. I'm not one of the IJs with the conspiracies. No, thank you. Goodbye.
nice. All right, Sheila, you're last. So, talk about finding meaning from within. So you are an IP, an ISFP, just like Julien, but you have a third, and so you're double activated with your extrovert sensing. So this NF thing is going to be a little bit like kind of crazy, maybe. But do you what's your opinion of it, and how did you experience it personally?
I guess it's never been super crazy for me. I think I've always have been very aware of what, well, the desire of wanting to know my purpose and why I'm here in life. That's something that I remember from very, very young. And it's like, I feel like I'm like, this little, I don't know, like a little planet, and the rest of the world is like revolving around me. As a lead FI, it's like everything's going around, and I'm like looking and grabbing and trying to, like, how do I explain it? So like foundation wise, it's like I have a really firm foundation, and as this world's spinning around me, I'm grabbing what I like and what I value, and I'm putting it on the next layer and the next layer and the next layer. And so it's like that foundation is very strong. It doesn't feel like it's ever going to crumble or fall, but like maybe the wallpaper in the room might change because a different value comes in, or I might rearrange a room and put the couch on the other side of the room because a different value has come in. So I'm always aware of it, and I'm, my house is my castle, and the fortress is strong, and it's just like, yeah, but purpose wise, always trying to find my purpose and the meaning in every little thing, down to a little, tree. It's like I see the purpose that it gives life, and for an animal, or it's like everything's connected, and everything, it needs everything. And so I don't know, maybe because it's double masculine, it's just always in the forefront. It's kind of like every morning I wake up, and it's just, right in my face all the time. So, but I don't know, like 20-year-old Sheila, I don't know if 20-year-old Sheila felt that way, and it's just 50-year-old Sheila that thinks this way now, because, I just don't remember what the hell I did 30 years ago, like, I don't know. So, yeah. And I'm constantly like, I feel like the project of Sheila is never going to be done until the last breath I take. And, I'm just always going to be changing up the house. So, yeah.
I like how your NF is, you try to make NF as concrete as possible, because you describe it with like wallpapers and furnitures and whatnot. And I think you also added your sexual modalities to it, like as a tester. So you're like, yeah, I'm moving the furnitures around and whatnot. So I think that's a very interesting spin to your specific version of NF purpose and meaning. Um, I want to transition to the last part of NF sleep now. This one is, you can be a little bit creative here if you haven't come up with one yet. So I noticed that everyone with NF sleep has a code, a personal code or mantra that they adhere to. Or at least the ones that have really developed it. Jocko Willink has discipline equals freedom. I think Steve Jobs says something about being foolish. I forgot the whole quote. Um, you know, so what is your personal code and mantra that you adhere to, that you check with before making any decision in life? And if you need more example, let me know. I'll go dig some up. But Julien, you want to start with this one first?
I honestly feel like I'm being put on the spot a little bit because I have never really consciously thought of this as a concrete thing before. I guess it's almost like I'm struggling to think about what this is. Like, I have values. Like, I know what my values are, like I value the environment. I value responsibility. I value making sure that everybody around me is comfortable and there's peace, there's peace around me. I guess if I go along that train of thought, one of the thing that I uphold as kind of like a standard or like a mantra is like, is always pursuing peace, like always trying to find where peace can be made in any situation, whether it's personal or whether it's interpersonal, like I remember my dad always considered me a mediator, which was kind of funny to me because like I'm probably not the best mediator out there, probably not very good at it all, but he was a very double masculine, possibly like consumer sleep last character, and like he's willing to get in a fist fight with anybody over anything. And I'm like, I don't, let's not go here. Like, there's no need for this now. Like, let's just all relax. And so I guess just finding peace, inner peace, outer peace, just peace wherever it can be found. That's kind of my life mantra.
There you go, man. I knew you had it in you. Who wants to go next? Can you share your mantra or personal code? Sheila, go for it.
So mine has always been the golden rule, which is do unto others as you'd want them to do unto you. So I feel like if I do that, then life is easier. It's so like, yeah, I just even though, I'm sure everybody's values are different, but I just feel like if I put out what I want back, then that's going to make, me happy, and hopefully it makes other people happy and also. So, because I think at everybody's, I shouldn't say everybody, but pretty much most everybody, I think, just wants to be a good person and has a pure heart in general. I mean, yes, there's those crazies out there, the Charles Mansons of the world, but in general, I think everybody just wants to do right by everybody and themselves. So I don't know. I feel like if you could just pay it forward and do your best to everybody, then you'll get that back in return. So that's always been kind of my thing.
All right, thanks, Sheila. That's a good one. Anyone else have their code ready? Gray, go for it.
I kind of have like a weird, almost like two-parter, I guess. Like the first part is like, is did I leave the room better than when I walked into it? Which is, you could take that as anywhere. It doesn't have to be a literal room, but you kind of get the point of just even 1% better, any amount better. Because if I didn't, then I didn't live up to who I said I was going to be. And I guess like what I define as better goes with, and I don't know why this is, because like there's just a lot, but like I always have associated like being a good person with like the kind of person my mom is. So I always like imagine, I remember a while ago, like we were having this political discussion because we don't always agree on everything we used to agree on. And she's like, are you still the person I raised you to be? Because if you are, then I don't care what you think policy wise. And that was it. That was the end of the conversation. So it's like, did I leave the room better than when I came into it? And am I still the person that my mom raised me to be? And it's like, there's a lot of values that go under that list, but it just compacts it down to just 2 sentences of like, all right, if I'm doing these 2 things, then the world and myself are always going upwards. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a very good one too, because it means you're trying to make the world a better place essentially, even if it's just 1% at a time. So that's a good one. Vivian, what about you?
Well, Sheila stole one of mine, so I'm going to reuse one that I used in my interview with you. So I obviously stole this from the 2015 Cinderella movie. Have courage and be kind. Have courage whenever there's problems that are coming up, no matter what kind of problem they are. Be kind, because the world's not, to me, the world's not that kind. Like, in general, people are trying their best, but it's not kind.
That's very straight to the point. That's a good one. And Abby, you're the last one.
Yeah. So you asked me this in our one-on-one interview, and I had no idea. So I actually thought about it, and I'm very proud that I thought about it. So I'm just going to put that out there. I also have 2, because EP life, I can't narrow down things for shit. I like the support, Gray. Thank you. The first one, I think both of them kind of combat masculine TE. I feel like that's the thing that I'm working on the most right now. But the first one is heal yourself, heal the world. I think there's just such a strong drive towards fixing things and fixing people naturally that there needs to be a redirect to like, okay, well, fix yourself first, and then, that will smooth itself over. And then another one is borrowed from Buddhist philosophy of like what is empty makes noise and what is full is quiet, which is also like, the masculine TE. I feel like whenever I accomplish anything, I need to tell people, because it's not real until somebody mirrors it back to me. Until somebody else is proud of me, I'm not allowed to be proud. I'm not allowed to like feel like I'm building up my identity, right? And then it gets really annoying because it feels like bragging, when in actuality, I'm like, please tell me that I can be proud of myself. So living by this, like, what's empty makes noise and what's full is quiet, to just shut up, right? Like, stop talking and just be you and be okay with that. Yeah.
Yeah, those are some really good ones. Yeah, that makes sense. Because like, yeah, if you're already full, then you have nothing to, you don't have to act out, right? So like, and then I think it's pretty similar to your first one, like heal yourself first. I think that's a good one too, because they're kind of a tie-in to each other. Does anyone have any questions for each other before we move on to the second part? All right, there is none. So this ends it for the first part of our animals, which is the NF sleep.